there aren't many organizations that are run by 3 co-chairs. Maybe there are none that are crazy enough to be run by 3 co-chairs, but let alone 3 fabulous women co-chairs, which is so very inspiring. And so my first honor as MC tonight is to call up the co-chairs of the DJC board.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kathy Glazier, one of the 3 co-chairs. And just before I start, and this is my fellow co-chair, Sarah Neville, and we've got an exiting co-chair, Nikki Weiss, and a new co-chair, Sarah Green, so we've got lots of co-chairs. And just before I begin, I'd like to thank the DJC's resident bard, Emil Sher, for helping us to craft these remarks. So rituals are the mortar that connect us to our community, to our past, to each other. There's one DJC ritual that for the most part has gone probably unnoticed. It happens when we stand on the cusp of the High Holy Days and Rabbi Miriam and Cantor Lisa stand on the bima. They take a moment to face each other and clasp hands. But it doesn't end there. They lean forward, eyes closed, and touch foreheads. In that wordless moment, they become one in their intentions, in their commitment to each other and to us, in their devotion to the never-ending story of Judaism. In the beginning, there was a living room, and Lisa's roots in the DJC go back to that fateful day in 1996 when she gathered with a dozen or so other people in the home of Jacob and Claudia Bali, where the seeds of the DJC were first planted.
Who's here tonight from that night?
That is amazing. So nice to have so many of the founders here from 26 years ago. Miriam arrived 14 years later as a triple threat rabbi. An artist, an educator, an activist, among many other things. And you don't have to believe in the afterlife to know that it was a match made in heaven. What do we call that kind of fusion? A rabtor? A crab-eye? Maya Angelou has famously said, "I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." Each of us has our own sense of how Rabbi Miriam and Cantor Lisa made us feel. It's an alphabet of emotions that fills our senses, a constellation of guiding lights that showed us the way. A, for the deep appreciation we felt for Rabbi Miriam's wisdom. G, for the gratitude we felt as we basked in the generosity of her spirit and her inspiring commitment to inclusivity. J, for the joy we felt as we were lifted and carried by Cantor Lisa's voice. O, for overwhelmed when she sang Mishaberach, a prayer for healing as if she was whispering it into the ear of someone near and dear to us. R, for the reassuring continuity Rabbi Miriam and Cantor Lisa provided in a fractured world that is in constant flux. And let us add C, for the times we were cradled by the sound of a guitar that Danny Greenspoon played so movingly, so artfully, year after year after year. Yeah. Woo! Thank you so much, Danny. Some of us make space for Miriam's cup on our Passover tables, on the same table where Elijah's cup has always been placed. Miriam's cup reflects the role that Jewish women have always played in nurturing and sustaining the Jewish people. We had the good fortune of being in arm's reach of Miriam's well all year round. a well of Jewish wisdom, Jewish traditions, and Jewish learning that we drank from, that nourished us. Exhibit A pre-Pesach workshop titled Transforming Fear, a workshop in text and movement. There was an evening of adult education, inviting us to explore the many faces of the imageless God. In a session about Jewish identity, Rabbi Miriam posed 4 questions that continue to burn with a quiet intensity. Are we a people, a religion, a culture, or a gastronomic obsession? We drank from Miriam's well and filled our cups to the brim. The birth of Noah Ella, the multi-generational B'nai Mitzvah of Jackson and his grandmother Jackie, the wedding of Evelyn and Jordy, the passing of Annabelle Weiss. If you have ever been to a life cycle event led by Rabbi Miriam, then you know she embodies authenticity. The joy she radiates in the presence of a newborn is as real and true as the sorrow she expresses at a funeral. Miriam Margles is forever in the moment.
If yours was an interfaith wedding ceremony, you might have had the privilege of Lisa Kent officiating. That sounds too, well, official. A marriage license can record the who, the when, the where. It can't reflect what Cantor Lisa brings to the simcha, what she and Rabbi Miriam wear like a second layer of skin, heart and soul. Come the day when the history of the DJC is not simply written but showcased, let there be a display featuring Cantor Lisa's tuning fork. Yes, indeed. To say the DJC choir is simply part of the fabric of the DJC is to overlook how it is an essential thread stitched into our collective identity. We know the score. Cantor Lisa would tap her tuning fork and bring it to her ear, and in a moment she would lead the choir to unearthly heights and take us with them. For some, memories of the synagogues of our childhood were rekindled. For others, the choir was a doorway into melodies we had never really known. For all of us, Cantor Lisa and the choir extended an invitation to give ourselves over to the singular power of High Holy Day music woven with words. Fluency in Hebrew is not required when a song is a synonym for people's yearnings. For many years, one DJC member faithfully sat in the front row in the sanctuary at Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Imagine the pride the late Ida Kent felt at seeing her daughter lead us in song. This fall, Ruth and Harold Margles gathered at the brickworks to take part in Tashlich and to behold their daughter as she led us down yet another path of ritual and self-discovery. These 2 daughters of the DJC changed us, and we changed them. This back and forth, this give and receive, is at the heart of all meaningful relationships. Daughters, yes, but they were also matriarchs who embraced us with open arms and guided us with a seasoned hand. And now these 2 beautiful mensches are leaving the home they helped us build. A bayit they lined with passion for Judaism that bridges a rich ancient history with the urgency of the here and now. At many a B'nai Mitzvah ceremony, Lisa set her loving gaze upon newly hatched young adults as they transitioned from one chapter of their lives into another. In the shadow of many joyous new beginnings is a bittersweet leaving. To everything there is a season. Every calendar has a last page. How blessed we are to have journeyed with Miriam and Lisa for as long and as far as we have. L'chilach, to a land that I will show you, Lisa sang to these young souls embarking on a new journey, with lyrics by Debbie Friedman based on Genesis 12:1-2. Did I say that right? Okay. L'chlecha, to a place you do not know. L'chilach, on your journey I will bless you, and you shall be a blessing. L'chilach. As we bid you farewell, dearest Miriam and Lisa, we say, you have been, you shall be, you will forever be a blessing. Ilu Finu is a song written by Rabbi Miriam that we have sung so joyfully on Rosh Hashanah. We would be divided into 3 sections along the seating plan in the sanctuary and given separate parts. Together we sang Ilu Finu, the wonder of song and gratitude. The lyric is laced with a profound truth. Wonders are as timeless as waves that wash upon a shore, and gratitude needs no coda. Ilu Finu Maleh Shira Lechayam, if our mouths were as full of song as the sea. Our mouths are full, beloved Rabbi Miriam and Cantor Lisa. Our eyes are wet. Our hearts sing. Thank you. So we'd like to call up Nikki Weiss to present some gifts from the board to Rabbi Miriam and Cantor Lisa.
That is a very hard speech to follow, so I won't even try. These gifts don't even begin to cover how much we love you, how grateful we are for how you have just added so much to our community. And we hope you like these gifts, and that we hope that when you use them, you will think of us, you will smile when you use them, and just know that we love you and we'll miss you. So they're heavy.
She said puppies.
I forgot that I was going to have trouble being the MC because I would get choked up by everybody's speeches and then I would have to say things. The next person that I would like to call up has been a devoted member to our community in so many different ways, from the Equity, Diversity, Inclusion and Justice to the Aliyot Committee. So it's my true pleasure to call up Lynne Raskin.
It's so good to be here together. It's so nice to see everyone. I want to start with a quote. I discovered myself and my love of music. I learned to embrace my imperfect heart. I have been invited in to discover and connect with my Jewish roots. As a queer, anti-Zionist Jew who felt disconnected from other progressive Jewish congregations, my rabbi embraced and journeyed with me. There is no biblical playbook, but iterative learning, open but with clear values. An eclectic approach, starting with a conversation, continuing with conversations, and encouraging dialogue about everything. This is what we have said about Rabbi Miriam. I have such mixed feelings standing up here today. Feelings peppered with sadness, contemplation, I'm not going to get through this without crying, and congratulation, and oy veys. It's a time to stop and reflect on how each of us has been touched by listening to, learning from, engaging with, and thinking about Rabbi Miriam as she physically leaves the DJC and walks out of the door. Knowing, however, she will continue to be spiritually a part of everything we are, all that we do, and how we will continue to evolve. She will persist in residing in our hearts, our minds, and our souls. At least she will in mine. I was invited to share some thoughts and experiences about this moment, reflecting on my connect with Rabbi Miriam in the DJC. And then I thought, how do I do that? Because at every service and gathering, I feel she's speaking directly to me, and she sees me. How does she do that? How has she done that? Rabbi Miriam has written, "Before I lead our community in a high holy day or Shabbat service, I stand on the bima and slowly look around the room. I try to look at each person, each face. Some I know well, some I know less, and others I've never spoken to. But I try to look at the faces of our DJC community and take them all in, looking at sparks of goodness, nekudot tovot. And then we stand and sing together, coming together before chanting the Shema. And we may cry, we pray for peace and healing, sometimes with broken hearts, sometimes with gratitude, and then we laugh together." This is precisely how she has done that for 12 years. Her words are a quotation taken from Roots and Branches, The Making of a Progressive Jewish Community. That's our book, a stellar history and stories about and by the DJC. This is us, perpetually becoming, with half of our existence under Rabbi Miriam's spiritual leadership. And so, Rabbi Miriam, you have become part of us, certainly part of me and my journey, and how I have found my Jewish community that challenges, appreciates, engages, and helps me to frame and reframe assumptions, thoughts, and even Jewish traditions. I have been lucky, having had many opportunities to participate from the time I joined this congregation. Board, committees, planning days, representing the DJC, study groups, rabbi support, and finally working for many years, hands down, on my favorite project, the group Aliyot. Each spring, Rabbi Miriam pulls a group together to reflect on what is happening in the world, what's happening that matters, that affects us, that is terrifying or celebratory, whatever. It always begins with a free-floating brain dump, including, of course, getting comfortable. So, how are you? How's the family? A nosh, a drink, and Rabbi Miriam ready with her computer to take notes. It is a sharing of wonderful intellectual, probing, questioning, inspiring learning, exhilarating conversation, and getting to know each other. So we begin. She asks, "What have you been thinking about? What is challenging? What is exciting? What is terrifying in the world, our shared world, and in hidden places? What is occupying your mind? What scares you? What gives you hope? What is going on that moves you to act, to withdraw, to hide, or to step up?" We throw out thoughts, riff off one another. It's a conversation, convened and coordinated by Rabbi Miriam. A consummate example of community engagement, shared learning, intellectually challenging, engaging the heart and the mind, and getting to know each other. I loved it, all of it. And as Rabbi Miriam invites us in and tries to guide us, we land on two themes, one for Rosh Hashanah and one for Yom Kippur. We then break into two groups and start writing the Aliyot. These same themes are then woven through Rabbi Miriam's sermons and messages to the congregation, setting the context, challenging us to think, consider, and open our minds throughout the high holy days. And this often frames our work over the new year. Racism, homophobia, transphobia, anti-Semitism, a world gone mad, dealing with the pandemic. What do we see? What do we need to see? What are we grateful for? And how can we challenge ourselves? This is what Rabbi Miriam has meant to me. How she exemplifies and messages the values of the DJC within our congregation and in the broader community. She intentionally raises and names complex and thought-provoking perspectives and interpretations of events through exploring the liturgy and responses in groups and in our congregation, inviting us in to think about, discuss, react, and respond. She is inclusive in her invitations to feel, consider, and explore issues, mindful of our broad membership, which includes Jews, those who love Jews, have chosen to be Jews, identify as queer and non-binary, white, black, brown, and indigenous Jews, Jews who are poor and or homeless, and the intersectionality, identifying with 1, 2, 3, or more of these. Rabbi Miriam is also a warrior. as she supports difference in her own way, with words and actions, fighting Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, racism, and violence in our communities, breathing equity and naming what matters, from the pulpit and in the community. This then permeates our consciousness as we are challenged to see difference, value inclusion, and become involved. And it messages publicly who we are and what we stand for. She joins and participates as a religious leader with Christian, Universalist, Unitarian, and Islamic leadership in the community, across difference, building on a solid foundation of Tikkun Olam, and the Aliyah still resonant. This is what Rabbi Miriam has done and will continue to do wherever she goes. And it is our commitment to each other based on what our humble and courageous rabbi has taught us, to look around at each person whenever we get together, to see those sparks of goodness, nekudot tovot, and to carry on this learning. And one last thing, Rabbi Miriam has also been known to break the rules as well as the challah by times. She can be a badass activist, cloaked in a kippah and talit. I love that too. Did I mention when we write the Aliyot, she will help each of us finalize them. And then I have, I think every time, changed something she recommended. I can be a badass activist too. Another reason to love her. Now before I close, I want to borrow from Josh Greenhut's typical ending when he wraps up a serious message that he's delivered. And this is one of my favorites. I know you know it all, but I'm going to say it anyway. One Jew alone on a desert island with two shuls. Why, someone asks, why two? And the man says, one where I pray, and one I won't step foot into. So let us take our learning from Rabbi Miriam to invite and welcome others in the spirit of creating one community, one shul, filled with and committed to exploring difference, engaging in healthy dialogue, prayer, laughter, tears, and mourning, with humility, courage, and a commitment to each other, and maybe visiting other shuls too. Rabbi Miriam, thank you for your leadership, your wisdom, your intellect, your beautiful voice in prayer with Cantor Lisa, your knowledge, your koach, your love, your laughter, the Aliyot process, and your ability to draw the best from us, knowing the work is never done. We will all miss you. Each of us thinks we will miss you the most. Each of us has been touched by you, learned from you, been challenged by you, been seen by you. So go in good health, with mountains of love. You know where to find us, so don't be a stranger.
Well, that was so perfect, but I'm going to add nothing because it was a perfect introduction for me to call up Rabbi Miriam, the first of the guests of honor herself. I'm told I was allowed 2 minutes.
Yeah, right.
So I just want to start by first looking at you. Kosi levaya, my cup overflows. Not my cup of wine, I keep drinking that, that's not everything. But my heart, my spirit feels so full and so honored. I could easily spend my 2 minutes and much, much more than that, thanking individuals staff members and board members and lay people who have taken on leadership
And I'm not going to do that tonight. I will thank you individually, and please feel the ripples of gratitude going out to all who I've been honored to work alongside and to learn from over the years. But I want to use my 2 minutes, 1 minute and 45 seconds, to speak to us. There's a text that Lynne just mentioned that I've been teaching in the Inclusive Ritual Leadership course over the years by Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, the 18th century Ukrainian-born Hasidic radical and teacher of heart-centered Judaism. And he teaches that it is the task of every single person in this life to seek out and lift up these nikudot tovot, these inner sparks within ourselves. Even when you feel crappy about yourself, even when you feel like you've done terrible things, it is our job to find our goodness, these nikudot tovot, and to lift them and amplify them. This is an essential and lifelong Jewish practice. And not only that, but it's each person's task to seek out and find these nikudot tovot, these sparks of goodness in every single person that we encounter. Whether you love the other person, or you're in conflict with them, or feel indifferent about them, we are called upon to lean our hearts toward one another and to turn to each other in compassion until we can see the goodness in one another, to lift it and to shine it back to the others. And then Rabbi Nachman teaches that anyone who stands in front of the community to lead is required to gather the nikudot tovot of each and every person. And from all that radiant goodness, then one can lead and teach and pray on behalf of the community. It's a tall order and a profound one. Over the past 12 years, it has been such a privilege and such a blessing beyond what words can express that I have gotten to see your goodness. You individually and you collectively. What a gift that you have let me see your distinct and unique goodness. Shining through in times of celebration and in times of pain, in times when we've wrestled and struggled together, in times when we were aligned and energized. You showed up with honesty and integrity, showing and sharing your tremendous goodness, and willing to mirror the good in each other. And it is no small thing that I've been able to be myself here, showing my strengths and my vulnerabilities, my goofiness and my devotion, and that you have received me and trusted me, seeing my nikudot tovot. I believe that Rabbi Nachman was right. I have only been able to lead and teach and learn in this role as rabbi through the generosity and profound chesed, profound loving kindness that we have met in each other and have called forth from each other. This has been the foundation of all the Jewish learning, all the Jewish practice, the healing, the activism, the growth that we have engaged with over the years. I am taking your goodness with me. Please take mine with you. May the goodness that we have gifted to each other continue to grow in us and expand in blessing beyond us. My heart is filled with gratitude. Thank you, everybody.
just waiting for the people who are enjoying the cupcakes too much. They're good cupcakes. Hi. If you know Rabbi Miriam and Cantor Lisa, and all of you do, you know that they have brought so much joy to our community through their music. And this second half is all about music. Lisa, I don't think there is a dry eye in the house when you sing to the B'nai Mitzvah students and their families. And I have very fond memories of you taking a group of grade 7 students and somehow forming them into a full band plus choir, incorporating every kid's attitude and every kid's unique skills. And Rabbi Miriam, it's always a particular joy when I go out into the wider Jewish world, to other Jewish communities, and I hear them say, we're going to sing the Miriam Margles tune for this one. I really believe that music gets to people's hearts in a way that nothing else can, and singing with you both over the years has been a real blessing. So I can't wait for you to see what's in store in this portion of the evening. I now have the pleasure of calling up a very musical person who is not either of you, and someone that I think of as an absolute superhero of the DJC. The DJC is full of superheroes, but this is certainly one of them. If you think you know all of the volunteer roles that he holds, you're still missing some. He makes everything warmer and more harmonious with just his presence. So it's my pleasure to call up Alan.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We've talked about the gift of music that we've gotten from both Rabbi Miriam and Cantor Lisa, and so it seemed to me very appropriate that we can give them back a gift of music. So I'm very lucky with the DJC, and it just speaks to the strength of our community that I had a song that I wanted to sing, or I wanted to have sung, and I would just call up people and say, do you want to sing with me? And they said, oh yeah. So automatically instant choir, and I'm just thrilled to have my friends from the community come up right now, and we have a song for Rabbi Miriam.
Melody that captivates us, tender notes but strong. Music that invigorates us, makes us feel that we belong. Shirat Miriam, Miriam's song with lyrics worldly wide. Miriam's song, its tune will mesmerize. Miriam's song, a song that shows she cares. Miriam's song, a song of hopes and prayers. It's a song that's never ending, verses yet to write. Poignant chords with special blending, reflective of her inner light.
That was so incredibly moving and beautiful. And speaking of beautiful music that has everyone in tears, I would like to call Diane to talk about someone else who provides that for us.
Thank you, Elise. So most of you here know that Danny Greenspoon was not a headliner tonight. He's not on our posters. He's not the center stage. But I'm here to play you a little overture of who Danny Greenspoon is and what he's meant to us over the past 25 years. First, a little confession. My husband will tell you I'm a sucker and fall hard for a Jewish guy with a guitar. Perhaps driven by my early exposure to Paul Simon or the crush on my childhood babysitter, Alan Gotlib. But when Danny is playing at a service, I swoon. As many of you know, Danny is one of the original composers of the symphony we know as the DJC. His myriad contributions have included schlepping, setting up sound systems, creating recordings, and playing beautiful, beautiful music at services, accompanied by the soulful voice of his life partner, our Cantor Lisa. From the opening bars, Danny has been a part of us, bolstering and supporting, nurturing and sustaining, becoming the soundtrack of our spiritual life. He is truly the DJC accompanist. Danny is never front and center, never loud and overbearing. He is always the sweet notes of a supportive harmony. Danny is a part of the rhythm of our life at the DJC. I tried to search around for some anecdotes about Danny and the DJC, but it turns out that what happens at Poker Boys stays at Poker Boys. I will tell you personally that I've had the honor of being on the Eliot Committee with Danny and learning how deeply he cares about this community, what happens in our world, and what happens to each of us. Many of you will not be surprised to learn that Danny is a multiple award-winning musician and craftsman. A quick Google search will tell you that he moved to Toronto in 1978 to join Sylvia Tyson and the Great Speckled Bird.
and later became a guitarist for many other prominent Canadian acts. He played guitar for the entire 5-season run of CBC radio show Swinging on a Star. He's produced some amazing Canadian groups and albums. But what the search does not tell you is about the countless hours Danny has spent producing, arranging, practicing, and playing for the DJC, giving generously of his time and talent. It does not tell you how his music has moved us, shaped us, and transformed us into a community. We are so lucky and truly honored to have Danny as a continuing part of our congregation and the DJC family. Danny, may the next phase of your life bring you at least as much joy as you have brought us. Please join me in wishing Danny a sweet and successful transition into the next movement of the symphony of his life.
And now, to continue talking about beautiful music that makes us cry, once again, it's now my honor to call up Ilana on behalf of the choir.
Oh, wow. You know, I'm one of these people who's been pandemic careful, very pandemic careful, because I have vulnerable people in my life, and my husband's an ICU doctor, and I have to say it's really nice to be among people in front of whom I would not willfully fart. So thank you for that. I'm here to talk about my experience with the choir, but I do want to mention one thing about Rabbi Miriam that somehow somebody neglected to mention in many of the other accolades, and that is, as someone who comes from a theater background and has done improvisation, she's an amazing improviser, right? I mean, year after year, I'd see her going, "What are we grateful for? Let's hear from the balcony." And then two voices would say, "Pickles, diapers." And she'd go, "Pickles. How we love those crispy green pickles, and it's so remarkable what it's like when it comes out in the diaper." Right? She's amazing improviser. I bow down to you. When 16 years ago, Lisa asked me to join the DJC choir, I welcomed the opportunity to sing with and for the community I had helped grow as a former teacher in the Jewish Studies program. Having grown up in a very secular Jewish home and having gone to Catholic school, I was not familiar with the liturgical music I was supposed to learn for the high holiday services. But I must say Lisa was a very patient guide, and no matter which iteration of that little choir, she always made sure that rehearsals had a warm and convivial atmosphere. Now, over the years, we played musical chairs, pun intended, with members of this little choral knot, some of them leaving, some of them joining. And this final iteration for the past few years, made up of Kathy Miller, Donna Goldenberg, Sarah Green, Susan Charendoff, and myself, led by Lisa, of course, somehow created a special magical alchemy, not just with our vocal blend, but with a very deep six-way friendship. Whenever we walked into Danny and Lisa's home for a rehearsal, the kitchen would smell amazing because of Danny's cooking. We'd be offered a drink and maybe a nosh, and we'd have a few minutes to catch up and have some laughs before getting to work on our harmonies. Between learning the songs and honing the ever-elusive ideal blend, we laughed, nearly to the point of bladder leak intensity. We occasionally cursed like longshoremen. And sometimes we cried as we shared both the joys and the challenges of our individual lives. And through it all, Danny and Lisa were there to make it a welcoming space for us. Lisa's full commitment to excellence, matched with Danny's superb instrumental talent and seemingly unflappable patience, I'm telling you, made us the best we could possibly be, so that when we were sharing the music at High Holidays, we could beam with pride at our contribution to the spiritual life of our community. I think I can speak for all my choir mates when I say that singing together with Lisa and Danny has been a great honor and a great joy that we will carry with ourselves for the rest of our lives. And though this version of the choir has disbanded, the friendships will last forever. Thank you, Lisa and Danny. Thank you, Rabbi Miriam.
Before I call up Lisa, I want to tell just a short anecdote that, because it recently happened to me. I went to the JCC to help on behalf of the DJC lead a Tot Shabbat service kind of thing that they have over there. And I was being introduced to somebody down the hallway, and the person looked at me and they didn't know who I was or where I came from, and they said, "Do you know Lisa Kent? You remind me of Lisa Kent." And I just thought, this is sort of what happens when like puppies start to resemble their owners. And I thought, I've been puppy following Lisa around for as long as I can remember. And I'm so grateful for it, and learning and growing, and I think it speaks, I was so humbled by that, and as I have been by your generosity to me over the years. Every time I do something new, Lisa says, "I have a file on that." Hang on, I'll get you some things about that. So, Lisa, it is my honor to call you up and try to hold it together.
This is really special and bittersweet for me tonight. Thank you.
Did you change your mind yet?
No. Absolutely not. So I want to speak about this journey for me, and bear with me for a few minutes. First, I want to thank, I know there's maybe some repetition in what other people have said, but I want to thank all the founding members. We sat in a circle, as Sarah said, at Claudia and Jacob's, everybody coming from a very different Jewish background, with their own hopes and dreams for an inclusive Jewish community in this neighborhood. And together, we did it. We made it happen, and it's still happening, and it is truly amazing to me, and it turned the course of my life. I feel like the holder of our prayers, thousands of hours working with all our spiritual leaders and all of our rabbis, planning services and events, aiming for meaningful and relevant ways for us to connect. What an honor for me to have this work. What a journey with all of the leaders. And I need to say, what a personally joyful and deep connection I've had with Miriam. You have been my rabbi, my teacher. I want to thank the small choir. I mean, there's just, when you look at a sheet of music and it says where we're standing, and it's like, that was 2005, that was 2003. When did everybody, we don't even know when people started. Some have been with me for 10, 15, 18, 20. Kathy, I know it's 23 years. Everybody else, I've lost track. Spending months rehearsing and sharing our voices and our lives, as you said, Ilana. So much laughter and support. Innumerable bottles of sherry. Mark, you have played with us for so many years, your music holding us with the foundation that we could sail above. Together with Danny, Our high holiday music has been radiant, sublime. Danny, for a guy who has no interest in going to services, because of you and the heart you pour into your guitar, I could settle in and let my introverted singer open the doors and let it out. I can't imagine this important part of my life without you. You made this musical dream of mine complete. I want to thank everyone and anyone who's ever been in the community choir. I checked tonight with my original binder, and I counted 31 names. And there are people that have joined since Ariel took it over from me. I think we're coming up to 10 years this year. Thank you for your voices, your energy, and your enthusiasm. It was a joy to be with you and to sing with you. I want to thank those who have accompanied the community choir over the years, primarily Tamar and Bob, Rachel, Mark, and Danny. For sharing your musicality and your spirit. To Brian, who's playing has lifted us up in Mila for 20 years? I'm not sure. Thank you for bringing your exquisite music to us. Because I'm, a founding member, I also want to thank all of our previous and current board chairs, board members, previous and current committee leaders, committee members. Your reach and your desire to help us grow inward and outward, to connect us to the wider world, is a gift. In conclusion, thank God, it's almost done. Thank you everyone here, everyone not here, everyone that has helped me, encouraged me, and challenged me along the way. I am forever grateful. Kosi Ravaya, my cup running over.
Now, I would like to call up our resident superhero, Alan, once again. Don't look at me like that.
So, yes, there's been a costume change because as we've had a wonderful gift of music from Rabbi Miriam, we've had an even more complex one, shall we say, from Cantor Lisa. And you'll see that not only do I have a wonderful group of people that help me with Rabbi Miriam's song, but we have another group that is going to help with this song for Lisa.